All right. So, majorly in the first part of the first scope of the training, we've been able to experience, um, teachings on different areas in terms that pertains to spiritual transformation, and this has also informed the different areas that we got to treat under spiritual transformation, and I believe that we are in for a great and an amazing time again this evening. All right. So we're moving to another session of the we're moving to another session of the training. All right. We're moving to another session of the training, and this is more this is going to be addressing the area of personal transformation, mind transformation, and success systems for us. So I believe that um, I'm trusting that we're able to finish it in a good time. Of course, not today, which I know, but let's see, how far we get today. We have a curriculum, an outline that guides, the um, things that are being taught. Okay, so get your mind ready and get your mind prepared. So, mind transformation and success system. Hmm. I think I was supposed to show us a video, but I'm not sure if I copied the link of the video into this slide. So maybe what I'm gonna do is to move it to the next time of the training. I'm gonna move into the next session of the training. Okay. Okay. Um, so you would have heard me say this times without number, but then before I get into that, how many of you have seen a madman before? How many of you have seen a madman before? Hey guys, come on, come on. I want us to move as quickly as we can. If I see that our energies are low, I might just end the session or just shorten it and we go to rest. So if you're here, let me know that you're here. So how many of us have seen a madman before? Or maybe you've even interacted. Well, not expecting though, but then no matter what. Okay, okay. So yeah, I say okay. I have. All right. So now you've seen a madman before. What is the character? There is one thing amidst maybe other things that stands to be very, very unique about someone, or that is the feature of someone that you would say is mad. What is that? What do you notice about someone and you know that the person is mad? Okay, dirty and tattered. Okay, beautiful. All right. Any other? The physical appearance and behavior. Okay. So the physical appearance and behavior. Okay, the physical appearance, their words don't add up. Interesting. Interesting. Right. So I love the comment that we are making, right? And so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ones. Now, if you look at the things you wrote, you said, okay, physical appearance. All right, that's good. Dirty and tattered. Interesting. Yeah. Those are more like some of the effects that point you to something about about someone maybe being mad. And But guess what? There are also people who might be tattered and dirty, but then they are not mad. All right. Have you seen some people because of like where they walked? Hey, my God. Have you seen some artisans, some laborers, like because of where they worked and maybe, when maybe mechanics, people that are not, of course, it's not supposed to, I'm not justifying the fact that it should be like that. But you see, have you seen somebody walk past you and you almost thought the person would have been mad? It was when you now saw that, oh, this one is not mad, he's in his right senses. But then the reason why you thought initially that person was mad was because of the way the person was, dressed dirty, tattered, different ways, the different part of the body and all. However, so you can see some persons started and dirty, but then they're in the right frame of mind, right? But I get your point. Now, the next point here I see is the physical appearance and behavior. Interesting. So physical appearance, yeah, then behavior. Now, behavior, it gets more interesting when you say behavior, right? Because these actually point you to the fact that something is not adding up. Like I also see here that their words are not adding up, right? So at the core of it is the fact that there is something that is not matching up in their behavior. Their words are not adding up. Now, when you want to speak to the behavior and to the words that are not adding up, where do you point this thing to? What do you attribute? What part of them do you attribute this to? The what part of you do you attribute behavior to? What part of you do you attribute? So if the words are not adding up, okay, beautiful. So if the words are not adding up, you see that there is a behavioral disconnect somewhere. All right, you attribute it to one part, to something very, very essential. And that is, okay, I see here, their mind, right? So beautiful. So this shows you something very important, that, you see, this is trying to actually point you to how important this asset is. Now, do you know that there are people that are not, there are people that don't have arms, that don't have legs, yet they are in they're really living out their potentials, and it looks as though some of them even live a life that is of more quality than even people that have physical arms and physical legs. Am I correct? There are people that it looks as though they are they seem to have one disability or the other, but then they are still able to, leverage on that asset that they have, which is their mind. So even though they might be deficient in um maybe one part of the body, all right, um because of the way they've been able to utilize their mind, the asset of their mind, and build up other skills, it makes them stand out. Am I correct? And so this is very powerful. But then if you look at this, and I can even give you examples of maybe people like that. So for example, how many of you know Ellen Keller? Ellen Keller, how many of you know Ellen Keller? So Ellen Keller, right, is one person that was, had some disabilities, right? Ellen Keller was someone that had, some disabilities. She, and this was very, very interesting because it looks as though there were a lot of things combined, that like multiple disabilities, right? So um she had an illness, right, which rendered her disabled in some ways, around when she was 9 months old, right? And so Helen Keller was both deaf and blind. Helen Keller was both deaf and blind. All right. You know, because she contracted an illness, when she was 19 months, and it resulted, that sickness left her deaf and blind. Now, so look at that. Somebody that was deaf and blind. But then when you go on to read about the remarkable things she was able to do, my God, it looks as though some other people that are not even blind and are not even deaf were not able to achieve in their, they were not able to achieve maybe 50% or even 30% of what she achieved in her lifetime. Do you know why? There was something that she was able to do with the asset of the mind that she had, even though there were different disabilities that she had, right? And so it means that many other things might be wrong physically with a man. But then when the asset called the mind is still in place, there is still so much such a man can do. However, on the flip side, imagine a man that has every of the physical component, that has the physical body complete in every way, but then something is wrong with, that part of the man, which is the mind. Guess what? That is the end of it. That is the end of it. So it won't matter any other thing that is functioning accurately with such a man. It will, nothing else would matter as long as the mind is not in the right state, as long as the assets called the mind. And that's the reason why when somebody is mad, it's really, really, a serious issue. All right, it's really, really a serious issue. Hmm. Hey, can I move on? And I want you to type in the comment section, my mind must work. Is a very, very serious thing. Type in the comment section, my mind must work. Yeah, my mind must work. It's very important because it doesn't matter what else is working. If the mind does not work, ah, because that is the very important or essential part of you that connects every other thing in the immaterial or unseen realm to the seen realm. That is the intermediary that helps you function accurately well and give expression to every of your, everything that has been instilled in you, everything that you carry. Your mind helps you to give expression to them. So when something is wrong with it, or when it is not accurately developed, or when it is left in its raw state, then there is just so little that can happen from the life of such a man. And so you would have heard me say, this was what I was going to tell you the other time. You would have heard me mention that the difference between two persons will, after their salvation, the difference between two persons after their salvation is their belief system. You would have heard me say they are not the knowledge. All right. The belief system of two persons is what makes the difference between two individuals. And the reason for this is because your life would ultimately become the belief systems that you have. Listen, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter the kind of life that you want to live. Your mindset, all right. It doesn't matter the kind of life you want to live, your mindset is going to be the driver of whatsoever will become of you. Mindset is going to inform whatsoever will become of your life. Ah, God. Listen, after this meeting, I want you to begin to look at it. Have you done project before? I want you to take your mind as a project work. All right. I want you to tell yourself that I am going to do, I am going to be deliberate about the building, about the belief systems, the framework, all right, that informs my mind, because I know and recognize that my life is directly proportional to whatsoever has become of my mind. Do you know that a closed mind, you know, you used to hear that a closed mind is a closed destiny. Well, I think rather that a closed mind is the closed destiny. Did you hear what I said? That a closed mind, someone type it for me. A closed mind is a closed destiny. People say, you know, a closed mouth is a closed destiny. I think the more deeper and more you know accurate one is that a closed mind is a closed destiny. Because if you say a closed mouth is a closed destiny, how about people that cannot talk? How about people that are dumb? But then it doesn't matter what, you know, any other disability that a man can have, once his mind is in the right state and he gives himself to the right belief systems. He gives himself to the right paradigms and perspective. There is so much that can become of such a man. So it is a closed mind that is a closed destiny. Hallelujah. So what is when you say mindset, what do we mean by mindset? You know, we're talking about mind transmission. So what when we say mindsets, what do we mean by mindsets? What do we mean by when we say mindset? What exactly do we mean? What are we talking about when we say mindset? Mindset simply talks about a sustained thinking pattern. Write it down. Mindset simply talks about a sustained thinking pattern. A sustained thinking pattern. Number two, your mindset is your viewpoint of life. Is your viewpoint, in fact, whether of life or of anything, your mindset is your viewpoint. You know, when they say POV, right? What is POV? Point of view. All right. So your point of view is as a result of the mindset that you have. Your mind view would always give birth to your POV. Your mind view will always give birth to your point of view. Because have you been in a place where they ask, okay, so what do you have to say about this? Okay, you, what do you have to say about this? People start to contribute and say different things, right? Because people speak from the abundance of their mindset. People speak from the abundance of their perspective. Have you been in a place before where somebody made a contribution and like you were so wowed, like, wow, who is this person? Has someone spoken before? Maybe in a place you were not even paying attention before, and suddenly, when the person spoke, you just look, who was this person that just spoke? And guess what? Have you been in another place where somebody else spoke? Oh, and maybe more. Sorry, I mean Holy Spirit. Where somebody else spoke, and it was as though they disgraced themselves. That it would have been better for them to keep quiet. Where some people, and you're like, where is this person from? How will you stay? Okay, Twitter people. Where, you know, and that's true, you know, Twitter is where people voice out their mindset, where people think that because they have a device, they must always talk. Where you see people give a kind of contribution to a matter, well, it would have been better for you to keep quiet. You know, something that is not good happened today that I read about. Um, we lost one of one of we lost one of the music ministers in the country, all right? Maybe some of you have heard of it. It happened today, and guess what? So I found out that a fellow music minister, gospel minister, posted about him. All right. And guess what? Somebody made a comment in the comment section. Ah! And when I saw the comments, he wrote the comment, and in a few minutes, there were already like 13 comments to respond to, more like is, permit me to say, ignorant or foolish perspective. He said something so insensitive in the comment section. And in a few minutes, based on when I checked, right, because the post was just up just a few minutes, and he responded, and just within that few minutes, there were already 13 hot comments, feedbacks for the person. And in my mind, I'm like, why will you say this kind of thing? But then that is just to show you how the mindset of people can reveal the state of people. And that is also one of the things that determines the states of people in life. Your mindset determines your life set. Or let's put it this way, your mindset will determine your life state. Did you hear what I said? Your mindset will always determine your life state. Some persons are not happy about the outcome of their lives, but they've not paid attention to, their mindset, because you don't know. One of the things you must know is the fact that you are a slave to your mind. You are a slave to the kind of mindset that you have built. Remember, I said that your mindset is a sustained thinking pattern. Your mindset is the stronghold to which you are a slave. So imagine that you have wrong belief systems and or limited perspectives, all right, or limited point of view. It means that your life will be a slave of such a thing. Oh my God. The only way your deliverance is guaranteed in life is that there is a mind deliverance for you. In mathematics, we call something, substitution set, we call something elimination set. These things must happen to the mind of many people. You must know what parts of your belief systems, thinking patterns, all right, needs to be edited, needs replacement. You must know the part of your thinking pattern that needs elimination. Some things need to go for some things to come. Are you getting this? I mentioned that from this bootcamp, one of the decisions that you would make is that you are going to take your mind as a project to work on. You're going to take your mind as a project to work on, because your mind is the tool that puts you out to the world. Your mind is the tool that puts you out to the world. If we want to know how great your life will be, we only need to examine how great the content of your mind is, how great the perspectives and your thinking patterns are. This is very, very necessary. This is very, very necessary. That the reason why some persons are poor, is because of the kind of limiting belief systems that have held them captive. That it doesn't matter the amount of money that gets into their hands. All right. Their mind state is in such a state that money will not last in their hand. So listen, oh my God. So when a man has money in his hands, it is not firstly the end that is spending the money. It is the kind of mind the person has that is spending the money. Because every other physical part of your body that you have is a slave to your mindset. Are you getting it? Your hand will not do what your mind has not instructed it. Your legs will not go what your mind has not agreed to. So it means that every other thing you have physically, they are only slaves, or they are only waiting for the command of what your mind is instructing them to do. So a man can carry the money, the last amount in his account, for example, that is meant to pay his rent, and carry that money with his hand, make transfer through maybe his bank app, and he uses it for a Ponzi scheme. Of course, you know the one that crashed recently, right? I hope I hope nobody here was a victim of CBEX. Okay, I hope nobody here was a victim of CBEX. Well, even if you're a victim of CBEX, Sibe Uluwadara. Yeah, you might have you might have been a victim of CBEX or Sibe Uluwadara. Okay. You will see somebody carry the money that is supposed to use for his rent, and he goes to put it on a platform that he doesn't know the founders, he doesn't know the system guiding the platform, because they told you that they are going to multiply your money. Now they've multiplied your sorrows. So it is not the hand of the person that carried the money. The mindset of the person controlled the person's hand to carry the money and put. You see what I'm saying? And guess what? Even God is limited to the kind of mindset that you have. Oh, God. Even God cannot do much with you beyond the kind of perspective and mind state that you have built. Listen, this thing is a strong thing. Oh. Your sustained thinking pattern will hold you. It's like a stronghold. It's like a stronghold that you are held captive by the kind of mindset that you have. You may be thinking, no, I'm the one that is controlling my life. I'm controlling my life intentionally. No, your mindset is controlling you. You think that you are the one that is controlling yourself. One of the Jesus Christ. One of the ways, in your mind, you might think that you're the ones taking all the logical decisions yourself and all, but then your mind programming is the one controlling you. The only way to guarantee that you live the kind of life you need to live is that you install in yourself, you install in your mind the right, perspective and opinions, the right thinking patterns. Are you getting this? This is very important. They sent you text message. All of those random text messages where they will say you have just won 200,000, a government grant given to you. All you need to do is to call Mr. Godwin on this number, so, to claim your reward. How many of you have gotten those kind of texts before? Just call Mr. Godwin. Call Mr. Godwin. All right. Now, you went ahead. Gullible state. You went ahead to call Mr. Godwin. Now you are saying, "Oh my God," and you are wondering why your money is gone. You called Mr. Godwin. Can you see? Mr. God, you called Mr. Godwin that is not of God. Now your money is gone. And you're saying, oh my God. Do you know why he did it? In your mind, you're thinking, and it can be true. All of these sponsors can, and the way it works, they will allow you try. They will allow you, I watched a very funny one on social media at the time. And what was being shown, they made an example of how Ponzi scheme works. A man was sitting outside a garage, door, all of these door that you pull down, right? So he was sitting outside it, and I think something he was holding that was valuable to him just slipped in under the door to the other side, and unfortunately they closed the door. So he was trying to hit the door. Oh, sorry, open, open, open. One of my items have slipped in, right? I think, if I'm correct, I think it's one of his devices or gadget or something slipped in. So let's assume it was his phone that slipped in. So they opened the door, they slide up the door, and by the time they were going to return the item, instead of they returning one phone that slipped in, mistakenly, they just passed two phones to him. He was like, two phones, two phones. He now knocked it back that, wait, what happened? He pushed back the two phones. When they pushed back the two phones, then they opened back the door, and out of the container, like 3 phones came out, 3 phones, and some amount of money, and some drinks. It was like, 2 phones, drink, and money. You know what the man now did? He pushed back all of those items. He dipped his hand in his pocket and brought out all the money that he came there with, pushed it into it. He removed his wristwatch, put it into it. He removed everything valuable that he was holding, that he was carrying, and pushed it into it. Then immediately the door opened and closed back. The door did not open again. Ladies and gentlemen, you just saw what I just explained to you. The door closed and it didn't open back. It was now knocking, 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 knocking. Nothing came back. That's how the mindset of some persons, control them. Investment strategy. You don't turn investment Sabinus. Your mindset is a summation of your belief system, is a summation of your ideologies. And one of the issues with mindset is, this is the reason why you must be very intentional about it. Because when you have a limited mindset or limited, perspective on something or in an area, guess what happens? By the time a higher superior one is coming, your mind will decline it automatically, will repel it, because it will be like, no, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this kind of mindset, this kind of. However, that is what is going to change your life. But then, because your mind, except you are very intentional about it. Have you realized that people that are very poor, like people that are very broke and poor, right? When you try to talk to them and advise them, by the time they respond back to you, they will talk as though they know what they are saying. Have you seen people that are wise and poor? They are wise and very poor. Like, you're trying to tell them something on maybe the steps to take on, but they will give you reason you don't understand. It's Paul. He's the one they are trying to help, but you say, you don't understand. I've been doing this and that for the past how many years, by the time I do this. So when a superior knowledge or mindset comes, the limited belief system has the ability to limit it. It has the ability to repel it, to bounce it back, and allow the person to remain in that state. Is the principle of a thermostat. How many of you know what a thermostat is? Now, a thermostat, is what is used in an iron. You know what? Maybe your pressing iron that used to press your clothes, like, right? Now, when you use a pressing iron, how many of you have you notice there is an indicator light, right, on the pressing iron that does something like this? That when you put the iron at a particular temperature, let's assume you placed it at um 50 degrees, right? Let's say you place it at 50 degrees, okay? 50 degrees in temperature. Now, have you realized that once you start ironing, it looks as though the temperature start increasing. It start increasing. It start increasing. Then at a point, that light indicator on the iron goes off. Now, the socket is still on. Every other thing is working fine, but that indicator goes off. How many of you have seen that happen? You've noticed that. Sometimes you would even think, or was it like this? Is it like this thing is not connected again? The indicator goes off, right? And it will now look again that after some minutes, the light comes on again. How many of you know what takes place or what was taking place? Let me explain it to you. Now, the thermostat is the one at work. It works in such a way to regulate the temperature of the iron and keep it within a certain range all through. So this is what happens. So when you place it at, let's say, 50 degrees, the temperature keeps rising. Once it hits 50 degrees, that is when that light goes off. The indication of that light going off is that now this has reached the particular temperature that the owner of this iron placed it. And this temperature, the temperature must not go beyond this. So because of that, the light trips off so that the temperature does not rise beyond that level. All right. And it keeps going down a bit, maintaining it around that region. Now, when it wants to be going down again, guess what happens? The light comes on again to make sure that it doesn't drop too far or below that 50 degrees. So when it's going high again, the light goes off. When it's going down again, the light comes on. Are you getting it? So what is the principle there? The principle is that the owner of this iron has set it at a particular temperature. It is, excuse me. So it means that this iron has been programmed in such a way that no matter what happens, no matter what this iron desires, it must not go beyond this temperature level. It must keep, hovering over, it must keep hovering within this range of temperature. Now, this is how the mindset also works. It is how the mind pattern of many people also work. So, when you have a limiting belief system, when you have a limited perspective, your mindset has a way to keep holding your mind in a particular range, or to keep holding your life, I mean, in a particular range, all right, to make sure that your life does not pass that particular level, to make sure that your life keeps, hovering at that particular state. So if you're not careful, when anything of a superior perspective comes to help you, because your mind has been set in such a way that it must not pass this level, once it wants to pass this level, bring it back. All right. That is also what happens when people, come into some amount of money that they have not built themselves to be able to handle. So if the limiting belief system holding a man to be poor is at, let's say, maximum of 50,000 naira, when somebody comes to dash such a man 500,000, do you know what happens? Like that thermostat for that iron, it happens in such a way that the mind, an alarm sound goes off, an alarm sound goes off, in the mindset that, no, this 500,000, no, 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 is beyond what this man can handle. The mindset for this man perspective is capped at 50,000 naira. So it means that even if somebody dashes this man 500,000, 500,000 will be spent and squandered, wasted, or used in such a way that the man will come back to that 50,000 naira level. The habits, the actions, the different steps that the man will take the man will take it till the mindset recognizes that 500,000 has reduced to 500. That 500,000 has reduced to 50,000. Are you getting what I'm explaining? If you're following this, let me know. If you're getting this, let me know. And so this is the reason why it doesn't matter what else you want to effect in the physical when it has not firstly been done in the realm of the mind. No, it will not matter how much it's been done in the physical. Your mind will always drop every reality of your life to its own state, to its perspective, to its level at every particular time. Let's move on very quickly. So let's talk quickly about how mindset are formed. Now, I already started explaining, but then let's talk about ways mindsets are formed. The ways mindsets are formed. Number one is culture. Number one is culture. Ways mindset are formed. Number one is culture. And what is culture? You know a very popular definition, right? Culture is the way of life of a people, right? So mindset are formed via culture. The cultural experiences, the place, the place the person grew up, you know, or let's leave it at culture, more like, you know, the prevailing belief systems where the person, you know, the people that you got to relate with, you know, will form your mindset. That's number one, culture. Number two, where, you know, mindset are formed is your background. Number two way mindset are formed is your background. So this talks about your upbringing, how you grew up, you know, the people you grew up listening to, the kind of advice, opinion, parables, adage that you hear people say where you grew up, the kind of movies that you saw, the kind of people who spoke to you, the kind of people who were your neighbors and your friends, kind of neighborhood that you grew up in, the people you related with, the relatives that you stayed with for a long time. This thing is serious. Maybe you grew up in a place where, you know, they believe that you being poor is humility. Being rich will bring it out pride. Maybe you grew up in an environment where they don't really believe God wants you to own anything upon the earth. That all that God is interested in is that you make heaven. That don't go near money because it might affect and corrupt you. Maybe you grew up in places where they tell you don't take up leadership position because they can affect and corrupt you. So stay on your lane. Don't relate with anybody. Maybe you grew up in places where they tell you, please, don't, wherever you are, just keep quiet. Maybe you grew up in an environment where when you were young, you were somebody that was even outspoken, but you grew up amidst people who are always shutting you down, who are always shouting, you talk too much, you talk too much. You would always have something to say. You didn't know that ability to be able to, they called you talkative. They didn't know that was a voiceover artist in training. They didn't know that was a professional global speaker in training. But they said you were talkative, that you don't know more than talking. And because of that, you decided to conform your background. Maybe you grew up in places where when you were young, you always wanted to, your statement and all makes people laugh and you are very jovial. But when you get home, they're always saying that you are not serious. Can't you see your colleague? Always serious and in the library. See your own life. You are always just joking around you as though you have nothing reasonable to do with your life. And then they killed in you, that content creator. They killed in you that comedian that would have gone around the world and everybody will want to listen to. Your background. So what is number one? I liked number one and number two. Why go to number three? I like number one and number two in the comment. Why go to number three? Number three way in which mindsets are formed is past failures. Past failures. And guess what? If you are not careful or not well trained, failure has a way of making you back out. Failure has a way of making you want to give up. Failure has a way of taking away your self-confidence if you're not careful. And that is the reason why your interpretation of failure has to be different. Your interpretation of failure just has to be different. You must know how to differentiate between failure as an event and failure as a person. You must know that even when you fail in something, it is not you that failed, all right? It is just that what you did didn't work out at that point in time. It doesn't mean that you're a failure in life. Excuse me. It doesn't mean that you're a failure in life and that every other thing you do will not work. Imagine the inventor of the light bulb. You would have heard the story, right? There's several, multiple, and hundreds of times that he tried. And they asked him the question, how come you failed these hundreds of times? And guess what he said? So because there are many figures. Some people say 1,000, some people say 10,000. He tried 1,000 times, some people say 10,000 times. Well, let me stay with the 1,000. So when they asked him, for example, how come you failed 999 times? And he responded, I didn't fail 999 times. I only found 999 ways it wasn't going to work. But then I continued, and the next time I tried, it was a success. Listen. This is what I think somebody needs this right now. That, listen, even if you failed multiple times, if you keep at it and you don't allow it make you lose your self-confidence, by the time you make success in one area, it will cover up for the several, failures that you have experienced. Oh, did somebody get what I just said? That if you keep up with trying until there is success, the success that you have has a way of covering for the multiple times where it looks as though you failed. The Bible gives a mindset, helps you, with a mindset on this. The Bible helps you with a mindset on this. In Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16. Let me read that to you. Proverbs 24, verse 16. The Bible says, for a righteous man may fall how many times? Come on, how many times? The righteous man may fall how many times? Oh, Jesus. Listen, a righteous man may fall multiple times. I'm about to speak directly to someone right now. That The fact that you are failing doesn't mean that you are outside the will of God. Because look at this scripture. He said a righteous man. So it means a righteous man can fall. And not just once, not just twice, not just thrice, not just 4, 5, 6 times. So he's saying that a righteous man can even find things not working multiple times. Are you still here? It says a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again. So the difference there is that he rises up again. He rises again. He rises again. After multiple failures, he rises again. That is what makes the difference. He rises again. Listen, he rises again. That is what makes the difference. Past failures does not determine your current state. It doesn't determine the kind of, current state you live now, and it doesn't determine the kind of future that you would have if you don't allow it to decide and determine your fate for you. So I said number 1 is culture, right? Number 2 is your background. Number 3 is what? Past failures. And one interesting thing about the mind is that the mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. Did you hear what I said? That the mind does not know the difference between imaginations and reality. And this is the reason why you can program your life for success. The mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. And this is the reason why you can prime your mind to respond the way you want it to respond. Have you realized that? Do you know if I want to trick someone now, and I just tell you, but you didn't know it was a trick. If I tell you now, let's say I'm capable of doing what I want to say now, and I sent you, and I just said to you on the call right now, okay, you're on this call right now, and I just said to you, maybe I pick somebody and I say, oh, Eniola, I want you to just know that I have made a transfer of I've made a transfer of 500,000 to your account that you sent me earlier this evening. Let's say you sent me your account number. I have made a transfer of 500,000 to your account that you sent me earlier this evening. How will you react? Now, guess what? You only heard me say what I said. You haven't seen the money yet. How will you react? Tell me, or anybody. Someone tell me. How will you react when I tell you that I made a transfer of 500,000 into your account, the account you sent me earlier this evening. Please enjoy it. Guess what? You're still in this training here. You haven't had the opportunity to even go and confirm, from your app or something, or from your phone app or anything. But then, what will start happening to you? What will be your reaction? What will be your reaction? How will you respond? How will your body respond to it? Even though you haven't seen the money. Okay, I will start making plans on how the money will be spent, my man. Beautiful. Beautiful. Suddenly you are happy about it. Like your whole body responds. Listen, I only said it though. So, but then your mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. So your mind will respond in joy the same way as when you would have seen the money in your account. But let's assume I did not send any money, I only said it. But then because your mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality, it responds the same way it would have responded if you saw the money in your account, right? So listen, this is very, very important. Now, this is also what happens when, even on the flip side, on the negative, people that suffer from maybe addictions and things like masturbation and all of that, what happens? The mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. And that is the reason why, for someone that maybe masturbate or something, the body will respond the same way it would have responded, all right, assuming there was a real action taking place. Because the mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So the same way, when you program your mind for either success or failure, the mind does not know the difference. If you program your mind for failure, or you live your life based on based on the imagination of the past failures that you have, one of the things you are telling your mind and programming that should happen is that there should be a repetition. All right. So you can make the failures of the past influence the possibilities of tomorrow. Same way you can make success, all right, influence the results and the possibilities of tomorrow with the kind of mindset that you have. So number one is culture. Number two is your background. Remember talking about the ways mindset are formed. Number three is past failures. Number four is your level of exposure. Your level of exposure. Number four is your level of exposure. And this is this is very important, right? The reason why this is very important is because it makes you realize that what you give your mind to matters a lot in determining what becomes of your life. So I read to you in the earlier video I sent to you that, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. So what is the implication of this? The implication of this is that the things that you expose your mind to, all right, would eventually give birth to the kind of experiences your life will have. And that is the reason why you hear me mention that you must guard jealously the gateways through which things enter your mind. You must guard jealously the gateways through which things enter your mind. What do I mean by that? So, for example, the gateways to your mind will be your sight, all right, what your eyes sees and what your ears hear. So you must guard jealously what goes in through those routes, through those gates. And this would inform in what you expose your mind to. For some of us, your life was going fine until you started exposing yourself to materials that are not. Now you are wondering why your life is looking like what you don't like. It's because of what you exposed your mind to. Are you getting this? Is someone following this now? When you read what you're not supposed to read, you watch what you're supposed to watch, what you're not supposed to watch, you listen to what you're not supposed to listen to, um you open yourself up to, sights and sounds that you are not supposed to. Now you might be thinking that you are smart, but or that there's something called the subconscious mind. There is a way your mind has the ability to store experiences subconsciously. You would think that you're being smart. You would, Jesus. Listen, some things that some persons have stored 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 8 years ago in their mind that they didn't know, the subconscious stored it and waited until a point that something now triggered it. And those things now started manifesting themselves. And you're wondering, but then why this? You don't know that there's something called the subconscious mind. Your mind was subconsciously storing those things. Your level of exposure. And it's also in the same way where you would see people. Have you found, have you experienced or encountered people that you are wondering if this person started reading from birth? Because what you are thinking that if a 30-year-old person, does, you think that would have been very fantastic. Something that you rated that somebody that is 30 years old would have done. You now saw an 18-year-old child doing it effortlessly, and you are like, what? How? It's exposure. Nice. Exposure as a way to shorten. Exposure as a way. Sorry. There's a mistake in this slide. This is supposed to be ways mindsets, not set. There's supposed to be an S, plural, right? Sorry about that. Ways mindset are formed. It's exposure. What you give your mind to will determine, the kind of exposure you give your mind to will determine, what experiences that your life will produce. Exposure, what you are exposed to can shorten the curve of your life. It can give you speed. Right exposure can make what you're supposed to do in 5 years to be compressed to 2 years. And wrong exposure can also make a journey that is supposed to be 2 years to become 8 years. Your level of exposure. And number 5, I'm going to stop on number 5. Number 5, association. Number 5 is association. Number 5 is association. You would always become or look like who or what you associate with. You would always eventually become who or what you associate with. Whether you associate with it, or with it or with them, physically or virtually, or your life would ultimately look like what or who you associate with. Their qualities will rub off on you. Their patterns will rub off on you, whether you like it or not. So you must be intentional about your association. You must be intentional about your association. Are you following this? You must be intentional about what you associate with, what you give your mind to, what informs the kind of environment that you have or that you engage yourself in. All right, very quickly, let me move on. Jesus help me. Scriptural reference, I can also give you Luke chapter 5 from verse 36 to 38. Luke chapter 5 from verse 36 to 38. The Bible says that then Jesus gave them this illustration. No one tears a piece of cloth from a new garment and uses it to patch an old garment. For when the old garment will be ruined and the new patch wouldn't even match the old garment. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins. For the new wine would burst the wineskins, splitting the wine and ruining the skins. New wine must be put in new wineskins. New wine must be put in new wineskins. That is what I was trying to explain to you when I was giving you the illustration of the thermostat and money. That if you give somebody, if somebody decides to dash 500,000 naira to somebody with a mindset of 50,000 naira, that is what I was talking about. There will be that friction. It won't work until that 500,000 is reduced to 50,000. The person will not balance back because his normal state is that 50,000 naira. You can't put new wine in old wineskins. It will not work. You can't put new wine in old wineskins. It will not work. You can't dash 500,000 somebody that has a mindset of 50,000 and think he will use the money well. No, he will not. He will put it in. See, his habit and his actions will inform him in such a way that the money must be finished. Are you getting what I'm saying? You must put new wine in new wineskins. So there must be that change in mindset. Your thinking pattern matters a lot. Your thinking pattern, your belief system would always inform the kind of life that you will live. Proverbs 23 verse 7, it says, for as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. As a man thinks in his heart. So, excuse me. So the thinking pattern, the sustained belief system of a man will determine the life result of such a man. It's the same way a plant works. You know, when a plant is growing, there is what you call the roots of the plant, and there is what you call the shoots of the plant. The roots of the plant is that one under the ground. The shoot is everything above the ground where you have the leaves and the fruits. So now the root here in the plant is what informs what happens in the shoot. When you want to wet the plant, you don't focus on pouring water, you know, on the leaves or on the stem. You focus on making sure the water gets to the roots, because the root is the source. Whatsoever becomes of the root is what will become of the shoot. Whatsoever becomes of the root is what will become of the shoot. If the root is malnourished, the shoot will be malnourished. When what is under the ground is not well taken care of, what is above the ground will be affected. When the root is not taken care of, when the root is attacked, it doesn't matter how flourishing the leaves and the fruit have been, they will wither because they must reflect what is happening in the root of the plant. They must reflect. When you think that the fruit is not performing well, the leaves are not coming out well, the root is where the problem is. Maybe the root did not get the kind of nutrients it was supposed to get. Maybe the root was attacked by some insect or anything. But then the reality of the fruits and the leaves, they are directly proportional to the reality of the root. Listen, the root is your mind. The shoot is your life. The root is your mindset. The fruit and the leaves talks about the kind of life that you live. So whatsoever happens in your roots, in your mind, will determine what happens to the fruit and the leaves, which is your life. Many people pay attention to handling the leaves, making it look beautiful, you know, and agar. Many people pay attention to the leaves and to the fruit. They ignore the roots until the fruit and the leaves wither and become like the roots. Listen, what you should take care of more is the roots. What you should take care more is your mind, because it will become in the shoots, the leaves, and the fruit as it is in the roots. It will become of your life as it is in your mind. And guess what? Do you know, have you seen a situation where you try to pluck fruit from a tree, maybe cut some of the leaves? As long as the root is intact, the plant will thrive. Oh, Jesus. Did you hear what I just said? That as long as the root is intact, cut the leaves. You can even cut the fruit, cut it in different areas, you know, do a lot of cutting. But as long as the root is intact, as long as the root is alive, all will come alive again. The leaves, the fruit, everything, you know, above the ground will come alive again, because the real life is in the roots. This is how the life of the man is. when you take your time to invest in your mind. Maybe the little money you even have now, it looks as though, hey, if I use this money for this training, if I use this money to get trained or buy this book, yeah, I will be broke. I will not have any money. But guess what? What you are doing at that point in time, you are doing something that would impact and grow your roots, which is your mind. Spend the money, invest the money on those courses, invest the money to read and study in those areas. Invest the money in training. Invest the money in getting valuable knowledge. You might be broke, but you would only be broke for a while because that investment you are making is like when you are watering the leaves. Sorry, when you're watering the roots. It might look as though you don't have fruits or leaves yet, and it's as though you're cutting everything off. What's the problem? The root would eventually pay off. A root invested in, well fertilized, would eventually pay off. The mind invested in would eventually pay off. Are you getting this? Who is following this right now? Are you getting this? This is very, very important. So if a man's thinking pattern, all right, if a man's mindset is responsible for his life's reality, it only makes the most sense that such a man should spend time learning, studying, and investing in his mind. If you really believe that this is the assets that you have, if you really believe that this is the assets that you have, you would invest in it. And you would not prove it by just saying it. You would prove it by the actions that you are taking intentionally towards it. Even the enemies know this. Enemies know how to, they know how to take a man down. They know how to take it. They know that the first way to take a man down is, finding a way to attack the mind of such a person. Because once the mind has been attacked, the life has been attacked though. Hmm. Have you heard of stories of when maybe an armed robber is going to attack a place, for example, and they firstly start sending threat notes, all right, to maybe the location or the family or the people they are going to attack. Guess what those letters are doing to them? And those letters start bringing fear. It start threatening them. It starts weakening them if they don't do anything about it. Am I correct? And some persons might even quickly escape just from that letter, even before anybody shows up, any armed robber shows up. Do you know why? Because once the mind is attacked, it makes the life, the every other thing vulnerable. But when the mind is strong and strengthened, oh my God, it looks as though it builds a wall that cannot be easily pulled down. All right, around the life of such a person. You remember the story of Joshua and Caleb and the children of Israel when they were given an instruction. Moses gave them an instruction to go and spy on the land. And they went, they all saw the same thing, they experienced the same thing, but their feedbacks were different. And guess what? You know the story, right? The ones who said we look like grasshopper in their sight, they gave themselves that feedback and that interpretation. Those people that said that never made it to the promised land because your mindset will program your life in such a way that every other thing about your life must respond to it. So if you give your mind to the if your mind is given to the wrong belief systems and ideologies, your life must respond to it. Are you following this right now? Please, how long have I spent? So that I don't keep us to um how long have I spent? All right. I want to give us an exercise. Let me give you a quick exercise to do. Let me give you a quick exercise to do. Are you ready? Let me give you a quick exercise to do. Can you close your eyes right now? I want you to close your eyes. And okay, before I close your eyes, open your eyes. Open your eyes. So wherever you are right now, I don't know where you are. Probably maybe you're in your house, your sitting room, or in your room, bedroom, or whatever you are right now. If I ask you from where you are, let's say you are in your living room, and I ask you, can you see your kitchen from where you are? If I ask you, can you see your kitchen from where you were seated in your living room? Like literally. I'm not saying maybe your kitchen is just opposite to where you're looking. Or let me say, can you see your fence or your compound from where you're sitting now? Or can you see your kitchen from where you're sitting right now? Who can see it? Can you see it? Like literally with your eyes? Can you see it from from where you're seated? Okay, if you're in the kitchen, can you see your room from where you are? Okay, no, right? All right, beautiful. No, the answer is no, right? So now, but if I ask you to close your eyes, all right? Close your eyes where you are right now. Close your eyes where you are. And I say, can you see your, let's say you're in your room, can you see your kitchen from where you are right now? Can you imagine it and see your kitchen? What suddenly starts to happen to you? You start to imagine. You can see the cabinet. You can see the zinc, right? You can see the plates. You can see how they are arranged, right? Now you are in the sitting room or you're in the bedroom, yet you are seeing all of those things. If I ask that, can you picture your let's say your lecture hall where you took lectures when you were still a student years back? Can you picture it? Yeah, you can. You probably start seeing where the logo of the hall is, the name of the hall. You can picture it. You can picture how the chairs were, the chairs are arranged. You know that they are not iron chairs. They are maybe a kind of, maybe they are not iron chairs, maybe they are wooden chairs, maybe they are, you are able to see that where you are seated, even though where you are looking at is in another state entirely. Now open your eyes. What you see with your eyes will always be limited, but what you see with your mind is limitless. Write it down. What you see with your eyes will always be limited. What you see with your mind is limitless. So you look with your eyes, but sight is of the mind. You look with your eyes, which is limited, but you see with your mind. That is true sight. So your real sight is your mind. Your real sight is within. You look with your eyes, but you see. There is sight with your mind. Are you getting what I'm saying? And let me see if I can treat this next part before we close for today. All right, so let me go to the next part, transformation. Transformation. What is transformation? Transformation is the process where your old ideologies are replaced with new, superior perspective and information. I'm going to repeat that so you can write. Transformation is the process where your old ideologies are replaced with new, superior perspectives and information. With new, superior, notice the word new, superior perspectives and information. I'm going to run you through this step. I don't know if I would have time to explain each of them, but I'll just run you through the process involved for transformation to take place, and would close here for tonight. Are you being blessed with this? I hope you're learning a lot from this, right? I'll just give you the process involved in transformation. Number one is awareness or recognition. The process involved in transformation. The process is involved in transformation. Number one is awareness or recognition. Awareness or recognition. What does that mean? You see, you must come to terms with where you are, the kind of mindsets you currently have, and where it has brought you. You must come to terms with it. You must come to terms with it. All right. You must come to terms with the fact that, oh, this is where I am. I acknowledge the fact that the reason why my life is the way it is now is because of this and this that I'm not doing. You must be sincere. You must be sincere with yourself. Did you hear what I said? You must be sincere with yourself. So what I'm saying is that you must come to terms with where you are. In other words, you must be you must be serious and be honest and be sincere, all right, with where you are, what has brought you to where you are, and acknowledge the fact that you need a change. So awareness and recognition. You can't make progress to a new location when you have not ascertained your current location or where you are. So awareness or recognition, number one. Number two is that having come to terms with where you are, the mindset that brought you there, and the need for a change. The second is that you must go for knowledge. You must go for knowledge. In this case, the needed and the right knowledge. Put it there. Go for knowledge. The needed and the right knowledge. Go for knowledge. The needed and the right knowledge. Because the reason is because not every information is useful for you as far as your transformation is concerned. Not every kind of knowledge will be required to take you through the process of the right transformation that you need. Some knowledge would only take you backwards. Some knowledge will only take you backwards. So you must go for the right knowledge, recognize the need for new information paradigms, all right, perspectives that will shift you from where you are. Number three is action. So there are three parts processes involved in transformation. Number one is awareness or recognition. Number two is that you go for knowledge. Number three is action. And action requires a lot. There are people that have, number one, they are aware, they've recognized, they've not gone for knowledge. For some people, they've gone for the knowledge, they have the knowledge with them, they've brought it, but they have not taken the action. Because action, oh my God, will take you to be courageous. It will take you to, action will take you to be resilient and persistent, to keep, taking steps even when you haven't seen results yet. The power of the right knowledge is released at the point of action. Write that down. The power of the right knowledge is released at the point of action. You might know so many things. You might have been aware and recognized that this is where I am. But the power of the right knowledge is released at the point of action. So I'm going to round off with this, that you've got to recognize the need for the change, then go for the knowledge that would inform the change that you need, then take action on that knowledge. I tell you again and again that the difference between where you are and where you want to be is the kind of knowledge, the kind of belief system. And so your goal will be, like the scripture will say, your goal is to pull down and cast down imagination, strong goals, wrong mindsets, wrong belief system. Your goal is to cast them down and replace them with a new one. See, transformation is a war, because there are mindsets that you must. Transformation does not happen when you are not intentional with it. Transformation does not happen when you are not intentional with it. Transformation does not happen when you are not intentional with it. So sometimes you may have to, like you are warring with destiny. That is what transformation looks like. For some of you, the transformational process that you need will require you to stay awake for some extra hours to be able to do some mind overhauling for yourself. I'm going to continue from this point in our next class. I believe that this blessed you, and I believe that you got value from this. I believe that you got value from this. All right. Thank you very much for joining in on this call. And I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray that I'm praying that God is going to open your eyes even as a result of this part of the training. I'm praying that God is going to open your eyes to be enlightened. You are going to experience coming to that awareness and recognition of the things that you need. And you are being opened up to the resources and much more. The ability to be able to begin to take action, the ability to be able to take intentional steps. You are empowered to do so. I'm praying that you would not be lazy. I'm praying that you will not be like a bicycle. I'm praying that you would not think so small about yourself. I'm praying that you will not be slow. I pray that you will not drag in the place where you're supposed to be proactive, in the name of the Lord Jesus. Thank you, Father. Glory be to your name, Father. In Jesus' mighty name, we have prayed. Amen. All right. So thank you, everyone, for joining in. Let me know how this training is going for you. Share your experience on the WhatsApp group. I'll look forward to reading your comments. Thank you. I'm still on this subject, right? And we're going to continue from here in the next class. I just going to short it here for some, for some reasons, and so that we are everyone is able to still follow effectively. Thank you, everyone. God bless you, and do have an amazing evening. Once again, happy Easter. Once again, happy Easter to you, and I hope you're enjoying your Easter experience.